This is Coach Jason Ballard, and I'm a business wingman. Over the years, I've learned a lot from working in our family construction business, serving as a senior officer in the United States Air Force, and running 12 different organizations around the world. Many people helped me get to where I am today, and it's my mission in life to serve as a personal wingman to others. That's what this podcast is all about, providing knowledge, tools, resources, and mentorship to help people soar to their highest altitude. Welcome back to the Soar podcast. This is your host, Coach Jason Ballard. We're excited to be with you today. Got a really cool episode in store for you. Today, we're going to be talking about the great detachment. This is about employees continuously growing more disconnected in their places of business, right? The work environment. They're just becoming more and more disassociated with their companies they work for. It has an impact on the productivity of not only the company, but the overall economy as a whole. It's pretty staggering how this is taking effect across our country here. And so today we're going to be breaking that down and why is that happening? What's going on? What can we do to stop it? And how can we prevent this type of stuff from happening in your place of business? So, according to work management platform Slingshot, they came out with a digital work trends report where they had surveyed thousands and thousands of employees. And what they had found was 8 out of 10 employers, bosses, managers, people that run these organizations feel like they are communicating goals and objectives. Like they have a focus and a vision and we're communicating it and we're everything's great. Everything's going well. But the interesting thing is that when they surveyed the employees of these organizations, only 2 of 10 employees felt like they were informed, they were educated, they were aware of the vision and the direction of the company, the goals and the objectives, and what was expected of them. And so you can see there's a big disconnect. So 8 out of the 10 employers, again, 80% of the folks in the leadership level say everything's going great. We feel everybody knows what's going on, but yet only 20% of the employees that actually work for them feel like they were in the loop. What a major disconnect. And therein lies some of the components of this great detachment. This is happening more and more and more and more. And there are a lot of reasons for that. But we're going to break that down. I see this even in my own business. As a business coach, I'm out there talking to a lot of different business leaders. I'm working with a lot of different companies, not just across the United States of America, but even globally. This even extends past the borders of the United States. I walk around in these work environments and I will ask people, the workers on the line, workers in the finance office, the workers in the marketing department. I walk around and I talk to people and I ask them how things are going. I'll ask them, so what do you think about the vision of the company? You do know the vision of the company, right? Where's the company going? Are you excited about that? And sometimes I get these blank looks like, what? And I'll ask them like, well, you do know the vision, right? What's the vision statement of the company? And they don't know. I'm like, well, you guys all seem to work well in this office. I bet you guys really are in line with the core values of the company. And they don't know the core values. Like I ask questions to frontline and even like mid-level managers sometimes, and you'll be surprised. This report that Slingshot did, I think is amazing. And I think the numbers are spot on. About 85% of the time when I walk around and talk to people and I survey what's going on and I get feedback from the employee base and mid-level management, it's about the same numbers. About 80% of the people can't tell you the core values, can't articulate the vision the way that the CEO does, can't tell you what their specific goals are and how that aligns to the bigger picture. Over and over and over again, I see this. And it creates a lot of problems, like why I'm there in the first place to work with businesses that may be stuck, may be struggling, may be disconnected. Why even work with businesses that are even really, really super successful and they're just growing leaps and bounds? They are disconnected. And I find it over and over again. I also find that people are not embodying, even when they do know the vision and they do know the core values and they do know, a lot of these foundational things in the company, that the employees they can recite the words and they have an idea of what that is, but they haven't embodied that. Meaning they haven't like internalized those things and kind of taken on those values and those principles and those foundational things and internalize them to where they feel it and they care about it and they take ownership and what their part is and they're accountable to those things and they hold other people accountable. They haven't embodied those things where it's like consistently every single day doing those things in those ways for the right reasons. We have to turn this around. Yeah, I'm a coach and there's plenty of other coaches and consultants and folks out there that can, help people like I do, but the problem's bigger than any consultant or coach. This is a major leadership problem and leaders need to wake up. You need to understand what's going on. Either this is happening in your organization now, whether you know it or not, or it's going to eventually happen at some point if you don't pay attention to these things, if you aren't focused on these things, you don't have a plan for these types of things because this is growing and growing and growing. It's going to become a bigger and bigger problem. This is not something we can run away from. This isn't something that the president or Congress or anybody in government's going to solve for you and just sit back and wait for things to happen. Like, no, this is so critical that like you have to embody this as a leader, know this is happening, and take action. And so today, I want to challenge you to take action. So the question is take action on what? Right? So, why are these things happening? Why is this great detachment happening? And what can we do to start turning the tide around? And so I've got this broken out, and there are many reasons why this is happening. I'm going to break these things out and kind of explain them and walk through them. The number one reason why there's a great detachment continuing to evolve in this nation is because companies do not have a plan, a vision, or goals. Roughly 82%, according to research and statistics, about 82% of companies out there, believe it or not, do not have a plan, a business plan, a strategic plan that is in writing that they can hand to each and every employee in the company that has the vision of where you're going and what you're trying to be in the next 24 to 36 months. It doesn't include a mission. It doesn't include a purpose and a why statement. It doesn't include priorities and goals and where you're at today and where you're going tomorrow and milestones and a timeline. Like just those core functions or those core components of a strategic plan, they don't exist. Most of the time I find they exist in the mind of one or two of the leaders, maybe three or four of the leaders at the top, and you can ask them about it and then they'll talk to you for an hour about this stuff and they'll verbalize a lot of things to you, but nothing is written down. I can go to every workspace, every cubicle, and I can say, show me the plan, and they cannot do it. Verbalizing it is not a plan. Having it in your head and talking around it is not a plan. You need a written plan. It needs to be inclusive. It needs to be engaging with other employees so everybody's connected and bought in and understands that they need to be part of that planning process. But so many companies do not have a plan, period. And so what that creates is a situation where certain people that are in decision making authoritative positions are calling the shots, and everybody's sitting around waiting for them to tell them what to do because there's no plan. If you had a plan, you wouldn't need to work so hard telling what people do all the time, and just week to week as things evolve, the priorities and the tasks change based on the events of last week. We're going to do something different this week. And so you're in this constant flux of reacting and changing and evolving and new priorities, which creates frustration, which creates communication gaps, which creates, a bunch of bouncing around and a lack of consistency on what the heck we're doing, why we're doing it, and when we need to have it done. It just jumps all over the place and creates a lot of chaos. All right. Number two reason why we're seeing this great detachment unfold is a lack of connection to the bigger picture. Like employees cannot describe to you how they and what they do every day in their workspace is contributing to the bigger picture. They don't know what difference they're making. They don't know what the impact is of what they're doing for the greater good of the customer, the greater good of the economy, the greater good of anything, right? People need to understand the big picture. Yes, they have their job and their lane and doing their specific tasks, but they need to understand the broader aspects of what's going on. Nor are the leaders communicating with folks enough on a strategic level to even download what's going on across the company. A lot of folks are in silos. You hear that word a lot in business. People working in silos. The marketing department's doing one thing, and sales department's doing another thing, and operations is doing another thing, and human resources doing thing, and the IT departments, and everybody's in their silos doing their day-to-day jobs of what they're paid to do, but few understand the bigger picture of what's going on, how well the company is doing, or how well the company may not be doing. They may not be getting feedback from the customers on how much they love them and how many 5-star Google reviews they got. Or on the other hand, they're not hearing about the issues and the struggles that the clients are having and things they want to be different. Why you may have lost a client. Like there's bigger picture dynamics in play here, and people working in their silos, they need to hear and see what's going on from time to time across the entire organization. They need to come out of their silo and be part of something bigger themselves. Like nobody wakes up saying, I can't wait to go to work and get in my rabbit hole and be completely clueless of everything going on. Like nobody wakes up and says, I can't wait to go to work and not talk to other people in the company. I can't wait to go to work and just be told what to do all the time, like the blind leading the blind. Like nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to be connected. Everybody wants to feel part of the team. Everybody wants to be part of something bigger than themselves. And leaders, we've got an opportunity to do that. Even if you think you're doing that, if other people don't think you are, then it doesn't matter what you think because perception is reality with your people. All right. People need to see the outcomes of their work contributing to the bigger picture and the impact that is making. And a lot of times they don't understand that. And if they don't feel like they're making an impact or making a difference or seeing something positive going on out there, they get demotivated. They're like, my work doesn't matter. I'm just here punching the clock and doing my daily duties from 9 to 5, and I go home, and I'm just a number. I'm just here doing my thing and hoping for the best. When I was in the military, I saw this front and center. When I was a commander of an organization, we were deployed over in the Middle East, and we were doing some very important work. We were trying to set everything up for the first democratic elections in the country of Iraq. They had been through war. We had reestablished a government. We had put some interim leaders in place. We had set up a structure. And for the first time, the Iraqi citizens were going to be able to vote for their political leaders. And we were setting all of these things up. And a lot of hard work. A lot of people spread out over a wide space. It was a huge team effort. We were in dangerous situations. We worked late hours. And there were people, when people work long, hard hours and they're in a combat zone and it's really stressful, life and death kind of stuff going on from time to time. People can get tired, their morale can be decreased. And so I'll never forget, once the election results came out, we were able to kind of see people chanting in the streets, people seeing their country move forward, see elected leaders fall into office and get to work and start working on moving the country forward and rebuilding and doing important things, building schools and putting laws in place and law and order and justice and all of these kind of things. And when we went through this one community that was war torn, that had been ravaged by evil people and terrorists. And we saw that community thriving, people walking in the streets. We saw smiles on their face. I looked at my guys and said, that's what it's for. It's about freedom. These people, 6, 7 months ago, they weren't walking in the streets. Everybody was inside hiding from the bad guys, right? People are alive. People have an opportunity to live. People have an opportunity to get jobs. People have an opportunity to vote and do things. And it changed people's lives. We liberated a country that was in an oppressed state. And that was powerful. And to see peace being returned to that region, young kids going back to school, having opportunities to learn and grow. That was impactful. That was special. And you felt gratification. You felt like what you did mattered and it made a difference in the world because you can connect those dots. And so I ask you, leaders that are listening to this podcast, do your people understand the impact they're making? Are you making time for that information to be passed to them? What can you do to ensure they understand that impact and know exactly what they're doing and how that's making a difference in the world? If you are not doing that, let's figure out ways for you to do that. Because if you don't, people will not stay there. It's just a matter of time. It's just a job to them. It's just a job. I'm going to come here, do my thing, and leave. When you connect them to that and they feel like they've made a difference, that's what you need. That's what you want. That's what drives their commitment. That's what drives their dedication. That's what drives their motivation and their willingness to stay. Even if you pay them less than what somebody else will pay them, they will stay because they're connected to something bigger than themselves. And at the end of the day, at the heart and soul level, that's what people want. They want to be connected to something bigger than themselves because it gives them hope. It enlarges their vision, enlarges their perspective in life. It gratifies them in ways that they can't do for themselves. And that's what we all want. Number 3, there's a lack of leadership engagement. Ask yourself, how often are you walking around talking to your employees? How well do you know your employees? How well do you know them and their families and their kids and their dogs and their cats and what's going on in their lives? And a death in the family or a marriage or a newborn that was brought in to the family. Like, how connected are you to your people? And what we're seeing is there's just more and more of a lack of leadership engagement. It's not that leadership doesn't care. It's not leadership is, kind of hidden in the office somewhere and they don't want to go out and talk to people. But we make excuses for being busy and having 85 million meetings on the calendar. And by the end of the day, we're tired, everybody comes and goes, and everybody's busy. Leadership's got to be engaged. Leadership has to make time, prioritize time, block time off on their calendar to go talk to people that work for you, that are working late hours, that are coming up with really good ideas, that's saving you money, trying to help your company be efficient. There are people out there doing great things for you, and they need to see the boss. It energizes them when they see the boss. It is a huge morale boost when the boss comes around and just says, "Hi, how are you? It is so good to see you today. What kind of stuff are you working on today? What kind of stuff can I help you with today? What barriers can I move out of your way? What resources can I provide to you today to help you be more successful here? What are the top two frustrations you feel at your level that if I was able to do something about it and take those frustrations off your back would make the most impact in your work area, right? They need to see the leadership engaged, that they care, that they will walk around and talk to them. I made it a practice and I prioritized it every single time I led an org. I led 12 different organizations around the world, no matter where I was. Every Friday, I set my schedule. When I went into work at 8:30, from 8:30 till around 10 in the morning, I came in, put my crap in my office, and I just started walking around. I go to different workplaces. I didn't have an agenda. I didn't ask anything like, "Hey, what's the status of this and what's the status of that?" I had no agenda. I just went in and just was just me. How are you doing today? Man, it's great to see you. Boy, you're looking sharp today. I like your outfit. What's new with you guys? How's the business going? How's your kids doing? The last time I talked to you, your kids were sick. How are they doing? Last time I talked to you, yeah, there was a death in the family. How's everybody doing? And I'd just walk around and talk. And I'd ask questions, and it wasn't to be inquisitive or to spy on them. It was because I cared. And people would tell me things. I built that trust with them and that rapport, and they would tell me things. And sometimes what they would tell me would be a little bit different than what some of my direct leaders that work directly for me would tell me. And so I kind of got a feel and I could see if there were disconnects out there because there is. The middle level of management is where all the problems exist because the leadership normally has thoughts and ideas and a plan. The frontline employees usually know what they're doing and they're do what they're told to do. And it's always in the middle where things get distorted or lost or misunderstood or mistranslated, back and forth, up and down that chain of command. Managing by walking around was a leadership principle I learned from Abraham Lincoln's book. Lincoln on Leadership. It's a great book, great read. Highly recommend it if you haven't read it. Even in today's world, even with remote work, I 20 years ago, I had people in different parts of the world and we worked remotely then. We had video teleconference, we had video, we had same kind of capabilities today, even though we didn't have Zoom back 20 years ago, we still had similar kind of capabilities. And I would make it a routine for those remote people to schedule and get on calls with them. Sometimes we would talk business. Sometimes we would just talk. We'd get a beer. We get a group of people together where I was at, and we grab a beer and we put everybody else on the line. They'd grab a beer and we would just chat over the net. and just talk about things. Sometimes that was in a group, sometimes that was just one on one. I just enjoy talking with people one on one and talk to them about their career and where they're at in their career. What do they want to do in their career? Where are they at with their development? What kind of things are they doing? Are you going to school? Are you going to classes? Are you reading books? And they would ask me, hey, what's a good book to read on leadership? And if I want to be an executive one day, I'm a mid level management today and I want to be an executive, what are the things I need to do to prepare myself for that? And we talk through that, whatever that may be. I always made it a point to be engaged at the work center frontline level as well as the mid levels. I'd always go to lunch with my executives. I try to find ways to, get them out of the office and um, go drink a beer somewhere, go have dinner somewhere, go to a conference or whatever. Always be engaged. Leadership in business is about people. Everything's about people. Everything we do in life is centered around people. So I would encourage you to get out there and be more engaged, listen, ask questions, get to know people on a little more of a personal level, and I guarantee you it'll make a difference. All right. Number 4, remote work is not going away. Our government right now is bringing people back to work. Some companies are bringing people back to work, and we're in this kind of hybrid state. So, regardless of the trend and what people are doing out, we're always going to have remote work. We're always going to have the ability to work in different ways and be nimble because we're working more on a national and global level now versus, many years ago. And so you can do simple things, even with remote workers that you may not see in person in the office or whatever on a regular basis, but you can do things to engage them. Like when you have meetings, make it a rule that everybody has a camera. Everybody turns on the camera. Everybody is dressed professionally. Nobody wears pajamas. Everybody combs their hair. Everybody wears something professional and establish, this and maintain this level of professionalism, right? Um, Let everybody talk and share. Some people like to talk, and then certain people may not like to talk as much. And sometimes the talkers overshadow everybody else, and other people may be on a call and they don't get a chance to talk. Leadership, control the conversation. Start with your introverts. Start with the people that normally don't talk first and ask them your feedback on this project. Ask them for their ideas to make something better. Ask them what you can do or what you can do for them to help them and make their jobs easier, right? Make people talk, engage them and get them to talk. Um, with remote work, you also have to communicate more frequently and more intentionally. You have to make more time to do that. The farther away people are from the work setting, the more you have to be engaged with them because you don't have the luxury of walking by their office and inviting them to lunch. You don't have the luxury of seeing them in the conference room in a meeting, right? And so there's ways you can engage on a remote, even in a remote work setting, because people get lonely, they get lost, they feel like they're kind of out and about and kind of lost and forgotten about sometimes. And we have to bring people into the fold and ensure they're included. They feel, even though they're, miles away or a few states away, that they're still part of the team and people still care about them. They're valued, they're appreciated, and they're engaged. All right, a few more. Number 5, digital overload. According to this Slingshot study, people in the workplace on average are using more than 5 applications, computer applications, to do their job every single day. There are a ton of systems and applications and software and things out there that we use. And I think it's getting to the point where it's overwhelming people. They're overloaded with all the technology, mobile apps to computer apps to, all of these systems that when processes and got to go into this system to update this and got to go into this system to update that. And these systems sometimes don't talk to each other. They're not integrated. It creates repetitive work, duplicate work. People are starting to get into a situation where they spend more time doing administrative things in these systems than actually doing work. It's almost getting counterproductive. And so people just get burnt out and having to go into these systems all the time and do duplicate things. The other thing is it's forcing our people to spend more and more and more and more time on the screen, looking at the screen. People are getting digital fatigue, right? And it's causing burnout. According to the study, 41% of people said they are digitally kind of burned out on all the technology. Like just going and having a conversation with somebody is just refreshing, and getting on a phone call is refreshing, and just sitting behind a screen all day, it's just not healthy. You're sitting, you're stationary. And so encourage people to get out from behind that desk and talk, do some walking meetings, like walk around the block outside on a nice day and talk and have a meeting there. Get people out, get them out of their office, getting them talking to people, because when they're looking at a computer screen all day, again, they're siloed. They are individualized. They're not working in a group. They're looking at a screen doing their tasks, and they almost have like blinders on from what's going on. Not healthy. All right, number 6, generational differences. Boy, this is really important in the workforce today, because the boomers have kind of fallen off the books, and the Gen Zers and the younger generation and Gen Z and millennials make up a majority. I think over 60% of the workforce right now. So we've got the a few boomers out there. You got the Gen X's, we got the millennials, we got the Gen Z's, and these people are different people. They think differently. They were raised differently. They use technology differently. It's interesting. In another study, 8 out of 10 Gen Z employees feel overloaded. But in contrast, only half of the boomers, 50% of the boomers feel the same way, right? Why? Well, maybe it's because the boomers and the older generation have been in the workforce longer, maybe have established different ways of working to simplify things, and have a process for doing things more efficiently. It could be a lot of different reasons, but we have generational gaps here, generational misunderstandings on how to work and how to do the work and get things done. Some of the older generation is more closed off to newer, innovative, fresh ideas that can be more efficient, leveraging technology in certain ways. And then we've got some of the Gen Zers who only use Google and technology, and they struggle if they can't push a button and get instant gratification. They get frustrated, they get stressed and overwhelmed. Whereas the older generation is maybe a little bit better at problem solving in a more dynamic way. So we have these generational gaps and disconnects that frustrate people. Got to find a way to deal with that. All right. And lastly, the number 7 reason for disconnect that we have in our workforce, this great detachment, is work-life balance. 1/3 of the employees feel pressured to be available outside of office hours, to work, to respond to emails, to answer their boss's phone calls or whatever that may be. The lines of work and home, work and play, work and this have been blurred. The workforce we're in, the society we're in, with all this technology, all of this stuff around us, has really blurred the lines. It used to be work was work and home was home, and you didn't bring work home and talk about work all the time, and you didn't bring home stuff to the office because that was official, office time, and all that stuff's blurred. Our personal lives and our professional lives have been just blended together, and has created some challenges and problems that we have to address. We have to have boundaries there, where people get burnout. So those are the 7 causes of what's going on in creating this great detachment, this great disconnect in what's going on in the workforce, and it's having a major impact. And so here are some of the impact that this is having, and this is just mind blowing. All of this has created 1.9 trillion with a T lost productivity across the United States. 1.9 trillion in lost productivity. You think about lost productivity in your workforce, and how much lost productivity could you deal with without going bankrupt, without going out of business? All right. Some more impact, $25,000 per employee yearly are lost due to errors. $25,000 per employee on an annual basis due to errors, mistakes, rework, duplicate efforts, miscommunication, etc. Well, do the math. How many employees you got? 25,000. If you got 100 employees times 100, that's a lot of money. How long can you go in your business dealing with that problem? Probably not too long. We also have very high turnover rates. All right. If you're a company with 5,000 employees in a 10+% turnover rate, that's $20 million per year in lost money due to talent acquisition, onboarding, training, and all the things you do to bring people into your company. For them to walk out the door, it's costing you at that rate about $20 million. How far can you go doing that? How much innovation can you do doing that? How much can you outpace your competition in that situation? Um, how much profitability are you going to keep in your pocket for retirement if you keep letting that happen? All right. We're also seeing it contribute to a lower quantity of work and output, productivity, and a lower quality of work, quantity and quality of work. So things are going out the door with less quality, less quantity. Of course, that obviously has a hit on the top and bottom line as well. Those kind of things increase safety incidences, right? When there's a lower quality of work and people are being rushed and you're having all this turnover and there's this detachment and lack of engagement, then you're going to create issues where you're going to have safety incidences, security incidences, people getting injured, people getting, lawsuits starting up. Like, only bad things happen when that happens, right? You're also going to see people take more sick time and maximize all of that. They're going to see people away from the workplace more often, making excuses, coming in late, and just things that detract from getting things done the right way. It also lowers your morale. It's a morale killer. People aren't going out there talking about your business. They're not excited to come to work. They dread coming to work. They know nothing's going to get better. And it's just, they're waiting their time before they can find something better. It deteriorates your company's reputation. You do this for a period of time, these things start happening, and it just paints a big picture to everybody out there on the outside looking in that your company's got issues. They're not getting better, and it's going to ding your reputation. You're going to lose business. You're going to lose opportunities. And eventually it's just going to deteriorate to the point where your business just isn't going to be successful. These are things that are happening right now, probably in your workspace. I've given you the reasons why they're happening, and I'm giving you some things you can do to stop that, prevent that, to get out there, fix things, do things differently, and set the example. Be the lead and do great things where everybody's excited to come to work for you. You ever notice there are certain companies out there that never have a problem bringing people in? Like Google, there's a waiting list for people to work at Google. Great culture. They take care of their people. They have beautiful campuses. They have places for people to kind of, kind of take a mental break. They have paths you can walk on, bicycles you can ride. They have a lot of cool stuff there, and you may or may not be able to do stuff like that, but get the point. You can do basic things, simple things that we talked about on this show that can make a difference, that can let people know you care, that can get them engaged. You have to keep people engaged. People may be engaged today, but next week they can start being disengaged if things don't go well, right? So walk around, engage these people, connect them to the bigger picture of things, make sure they understand the difference they're making, how well they're appreciated, recognize their efforts with bonuses or trophies or employee of the month or whatever, praising these people in public, in front of everybody when they do really great things. These are all things you can do that I would encourage you to do to prevent the great detachment. So if that's it for today's show, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can contact us through the show notes and our contact information if you want to learn more. This is becoming a bigger problem. If you don't deal with it, you'll be forced to deal with it. And so that's it for today's show. Next week, you don't want to miss it. We've got a expert on leadership. We got an expert that goes out and is a public speaker all over the country talking about leadership and engagement and how to lead in today's work environment and all the challenges we face and how to navigate that a lot easier and a lot faster. It's going to be on the show next week. No holding back. This is how you can lead your organization with no excuses, just getting the right results. You don't want to miss it. Look forward to seeing you then. Have a great week, everybody.